Hello everyone, my name is Joanny and welcome to Love Qualified. Today I am going to be talking to you guys about my biomedical science experience. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and advice and also share a little bit about my results and how just my whole biomedical science experience and how I found the whole degree, the whole course and everything that I have to share with you guys today. So, as some of you may know, I did study biomedical science at St. George's University. I have finished that course now. I've finished that degree now, and I will be graduating next week, actually, which is so exciting. And I just thought that I would just come on here and share a little bit of what I've learned over the last 3 years for anyone who is looking to go to start the course, to start biomed, or anyone who's thinking about the course, or whoever is interested in this video knowing more about biomedical science. So the reason why I applied for biomedical science at St. George's mainly was because it is in London and I wanted to study in the big city, and also because the course at St. George's is kind of like a pre-med course, like a pre-medicine course, because St. George's does the transfer to medicine scheme where if you get a certain grade in your first and second year, you will be interviewed to get into the second year of the 4-year graduate entry medicine program. So because at the time when I applied, I was looking to get into medicine after that, I thought it was a brilliant route, another way in which I could use to get into medicine. So if you're one of those people who is doing biomed but you want to apply for graduate entry medicine, or you're thinking about graduate entry medicine, then maybe studying at St. George's could be ideal for you. But anyway, that's the reason why I applied to St. George's, and I absolutely loved my experience at St. George's. I would say that every university has its own ups and downs, and every university has its own thing that they need to work on. But I guess with me, the reason why I loved the course so much was because of the people. It was more about the people than the university. So I loved my experience because I was able to find my second family at university. I was part of my Christian union, and I was a very active member of my Christian union throughout my 3 years at St. George's, and I made my closest friends. I met my closest friends at the union. And just the family feel and all the other activities, like extracurricular activities I was able to be part of, like being part of like charity dance showcases and just raising awareness and raising money for charity. I was able to meet like loads of other people in older years and younger years, and like I said, it just felt like a family for me. So if you're looking for like a kind of like a family feel to a university or that kind of thing, then maybe St. George's would be for you. But like I said, I'm not here to talk about St. George's, I'm here to talk about my own experience. So the biomedical science course at St. George's, when I started anyway, what they used to do is they used to make us sit in the same attend lectures with medical students as well. They don't do that anymore. They've changed that from this year. So we used to go to lectures with medical students. We used to go to lectures with radiography students, and I think physiotherapy students as well, and healthcare science students. And we would learn the same thing, but then at the end of the year we had like different exams. So we had the core science module where we learned like all the different systems of the body, like resp, the cardiac system, the cardiac system, and all the other systems like the gastrointestinal system and all of that, urinary system, reproduction system. And then we had our own biomedical science specific module, which was called cellular and molecular biology, which was CMB. That was what we did in semester 1 and 2. So we did the core science, and then we had the cellular molecular biology where we learned about the different components of the cell. And yeah, that's what we did, and that's what we're tested on. So at St. George's, the first year does count. So at many universities, first year would be like a formative year where it doesn't really count towards your overall degree. But at St. George's, your first year counts for 10% of your overall degree, and that puts a lot of pressure from you right from the beginning. So everyone was like at it, everyone was on it. You just had to think, oh, I'm applying for the transfer, I want to get the transfer, so I have to be you know, working hard right from the very beginning, I guess, which is good because it kind of helps you to be on top of everything, so you're not like laid back, so that when you get to second year you would be used to like the workload and managing your time and all of that kind of thing. But then a disadvantage of that is that, you know, it puts a lot of pressure from you right from the start, and you don't have time to like relax and ease yourself into university. So I guess that's like the pros and cons for it. So first year was really good for me. I met amazing friends, like I said. I didn't really struggle a lot, thank God, because it was a huge leap. Like I took 2 gap years, and I was worrying because I thought that I would struggle like easing, like getting back into learning and stuff after staying at home for 2 years. But I found it really it wasn't difficult. I didn't struggle, thank God, and I was able to get back into the swing of things and find my own revision style, find my clique, my group of friends that we like just studied together, and we helped each other a lot, and you know, that went really well for me. So I finished my first year with a first class, and you know, I couldn't have done that without God. Really, I couldn't have done that without God, especially due to the fact that I was part of so many shows. Like I was part of the charity dance showcases where we did like dance, we choreographed dances and performed a show, and people paid, the students and relatives and family and friends paid to come watch us, and you know, we would donate that money to charity. So I was part of that. I was part of my university's gospel choir, and yeah, just all those other things I was involved in, you know, and I was still able to, get a first at the end of my first year, which I'm so grateful for. And then moving on to second year, I guess the pressure started building up a bit more because I was getting towards the time when we had to apply for the transfer to medicine. So we could apply at the end of second year after we got our second year exam results. So in second year we had 3 modules as well. I'm sorry, I think I forgot one module in first year, which was the BST, which is Biomedical Science Techniques, I think it was. I think that's when we had all our lab practicals. So we had lab practicals every week, and these practicals were assessed as well. And then we also had anatomy sessions. So I don't know if they're going to continue with the anatomy sessions for biomed students, or if they're going to cut it out in the future. But when I was in first and second year, we had to study anatomy as well, and we had anatomy sessions every week where we had to go to the dissection room, and we had like pro-sections of cadavers, and you know, we could actually like see the actual cadavers and see the heart, see all the different organs and the brain and all of that stuff, which I thought was quite interesting. So yeah, I thought that was really helpful for my learning experience. I found anatomy quite interesting at the beginning, but I think as time went on, I just lost interest in it because it was just way too much information, and I struggled a lot towards the end of second year. But it's very interesting, I think, anyway. So in second year, we had the core science modules again. We were learning in more depth, like the different systems in the body. And then we also had TI, which was a biomedical science specific module, which was therapeutic and investigation techniques. I actually did love this module. I loved it so much. So in this module, we're looking at like different investigations, how you would go about investigating like patient samples and stuff like that, and how you would come up with a diagnosis. So we had SBL, like scenario based learning, which is very similar to PBL, problem based learning, what the medical students do. We had SBL sessions, scenario based learning. We had these tutorials once a week where we would they would give us a case study, and we would have to discuss in the group, and then we would come up with what we think is wrong with the patient. And then if we didn't know anything, we would make like learning objectives, and then we would go home and do independent study and find out more about that case and stuff. And I thought it was really interesting, you know, working together in a team to find out what's wrong with the patient, diagnose that patient, and to find out more about that disease or more about that problem. So the therapeutics and investigation techniques module was basically looking at lab results, looking at different techniques that you would use in the lab, and to see how you would use that to help in the diagnosis of diseases and stuff like that. So I thought that was quite interesting. I really loved that module. I think it was good. And we also had the BST as well, which was biomedical skills and technologies, I think it was. So we had our lab sessions again every week. We had lab reports that we had to write-ups. We didn't have write-ups every week, but when they gave us write-ups, they normally gave us time to write it out. So maybe like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, we could do the write-ups, and then we would submit them. And then there was that, the lab. I think I did enjoy my lab sessions. I mean, there were some times, I think, especially in first year, when I literally had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what I was doing. But most of the time we worked in pairs. So, you know, you could help each other, or you could ask for advice from older years, and, you know, make friends with older years. And people were always willing to help. My university mother, because you get given a parent when you start in first year. I had a mother, and she was so helpful to me. She was a year above me, and she gave me all her resources, and she really helped me and gave me some advice and tips on how to prepare for exams and my lab practicals and all of that. So it was really great. And then moving on to so at the end of second year, where we had our exam results, I ended up with a first again, by God's grace, which was really good. So in my second year, counted for 20% of my overall degree, so that was good. So all I needed to do was to keep going so that I could get a first overall in my degree. And I know that it was a personal goal of mine. It was no like big deal or anything. I know that if I had ended up with a 2-1, I still would have been grateful, but it was just a personal goal of mine that I wanted to get a first at the end of my degree. So moving on to third year, we were split up now, so we no longer had lectures with medical students. You know, medical students, while they in third year, they go off to placement, and they have more placements every week, and it's more placement based and stuff. But us as biomeds, we chose our own modules. So if you've watched some of my vlogs from before, you would see that I did 3 modules in third year. So I did science of reproduction, which is my favorite. Like, I absolutely love repro. And I did clinical neuroscience, and then I did so those 2 were 30 credit modules, and then the 15 credit module I did was biomedical research techniques for drug development. So science of reproduction is basically just talking about the reproductive system, so the menstrual cycle, puberty, pregnancy, ovulation, you know, all of that, everything that you can think about when you think about reproduction and stuff. We learned all of that. And then clinical neuroscience was so interesting as well. I thought I was going to struggle with it because I wasn't really a big fan of neuroscience, but actually I ended up really loving neuroscience. So we did things like stroke, Alzheimer's and dementia. We did things like epilepsy. We did Parkinson's. So all those diseases that had to do with like the brain and stuff like that, traumatic brain injuries. We looked at those things. We looked at how you would diagnose those diseases, how you would treat the patients, and you know, and we looked at imaging as well, like MRI, PET and SPECT and CT scans and X-rays, and how you would use those to diagnose like neurology or neurologic diseases and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what we did, and I found that module quite interesting as well. And then my last module, biomedical research techniques for drug development, was all about research techniques really that you would use in developing drugs. So this was a biomedical specific module, and for people who didn't really enjoy learning about lab techniques and stuff, this wasn't really for them. But for me, I am interested in research. Like, I would want to do research in the future alongside my clinical work as well. So I decided to do this module because I'm interested in that, and I found it really interesting as well. What happened? So at the end of yeah, and then on top of that, I had to do my research project. So my research project was on preeclampsia. So I was looking at this protein known as stannocalcin-1, STC1. It's a protein that's being secreted by trophoblast cells. So trophoblast cells are fetal cells, and this protein they've shown that it's upregulated in pregnant women, and in pregnant women with preeclampsia, it's been upregulated even more. For those of you who don't know, preeclampsia is a pregnancy disorder where pregnant women have high blood pressure and they have like protein in their urine, which is not normal. And basically, like it could have like really terrible like consequences like it has terrible consequences on the mother and the fetus as well. And at the moment there is no like cure, like no proper cure for the disease, for the disorder, and we don't exactly understand it properly. We do know that it's due to like spiral arteries, like maternal spiral arteries not developing properly, and we know that the placenta releases certain substances into the mother's system to make her blood pressure increase, but we do not know exactly like what triggers it, like what the actual cause is. So I was looking at this protein called STC when looking at how trophoblast cells regulate that in the how these fetus cells regulate that, and I was able to find some really good results. I really enjoyed my research projects, and I loved my supervisor as well. I would say really that you pick your, like, you should, I think there is, it's good to find a balance, isn't there? Like, you would want to pick a subject that you actually love. You would want to pick a subject that you're interested in, but at the same time, if you don't have a good supervisor, I'm not gonna lie to you, you would have a terrible time. Like I think I was quite fortunate, and I thank God for this. I cannot thank God enough that I really enjoyed my research project, and I loved my supervisor. He was amazing. Like, I did my summer vacation studentship with him, where I worked in his lab for 8 weeks before I started my research project. So when I started in September, I basically knew what I was doing. I knew everything that I was doing, and it was a really great experience for me. And he was so great, he was so approachable, and yeah, he was just amazing. So I'm grateful to God for that. I might do a separate video talking about my just like my research project and my dissertation, and and just my tips for that area. But for the moment, I'm just gonna just summarize and tell you guys that also for my dissertation I ended up getting a first for that as well, which I'm so glad, because I put in so much work into it. I was in the lab like 9 to 5 most days of the week in my semester 5, and I had to do that, and then keep on top of my lectures again, and then do other things I had to do outside of school, outside of uni work and stuff. I would say third year was very, very stressful, and it was just because it was a big like jump, like a big leap from second year, where they basically just gave us and they said just learn everything on the slides and it will come in the exam. But in third year they basically expected you to do a lot of extra reading, and we had to read loads of papers and write down those papers, write down what we'd learned from those papers in the exam, and quote, like, we could even like cite papers in the exams when we were writing essays and stuff. And at some point I think I was getting a bit like frustrated, because I was like, I can't learn the names of all these authors of papers and stuff like that. But yeah, I survived. If I could do it, then you can do it. But it was enjoyable overall. It was very interesting. I loved my modules, I loved my research project, I loved my supervisor, and like I said, I am very fortunate, and I'm so grateful to God, because I heard stories about other people who didn't like their research project, didn't like their supervisors, or both, and they had a terrible time. And to see that I actually did love both, I think is a blessing, and I would never let that slip by without being grateful. But yeah, I've got my results here. Well, this is for my third year, just like a breakdown of my results, and for anyone who's interested, you might want to know. So in my clinical neuroscience module, I got a 73%. That was the mark that I got for that overall. For my science of reproduction module, I got a 70.65%, which is, yeah, that's what I got for that. In my research project, I got a 70.85, and then in my biomedical research techniques for drug development module, I got a 67.55, which is a high 2-1. So for those of you who don't know, a 2-1, so a first class is 70 and above, a 2-1 is 60 and above, a 2-2 is 50 and above, a pass is or third is 40 and above, and then obviously anything below that would be like a fail or whatever. But yeah, so that's that. So that meant that my overall year 3 mark as well was a first, so it was 71.36%, and then adding that to my first and second year marks as well, that meant that I got a first overall. So like I said, I really loved my degree. It was stressful in some bits, but like the fact that I had my friends there with me, and my the people that I met, like the family that I was in, and they were always ready to help me, and I always ask for help. I'm that kind of person where if I'm struggling, I would say that I'm struggling. I'll always ask for help. I would say that, go straight into it and ask for help when you need it. Ask, like, someone help you. We were not made to be islands, like, or we were made to, like, connect with each other, build relationships with people, find your study group, help each other. Yes, you can do certain things on your own, but then there's sometimes when, especially when it comes to exam season, when your friends can help you see things in a different way in terms of revision. Like, try and do it in a group and teach each other, and just learn from each other, really. And at the end of the day, you'd see that when you guys pass together and you succeed together, it's like a very, very, like, awesome experience, or awesome, like, feeling. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so for some of you may know that I am going back to St. George's to study excuse me, to study my master's in physician associate studies. I will leave any links down below to previous videos that I've done about that, and it would be the end of my uni vlogs that has to do with biomedical science. And come September time, or the end of next month, I will hopefully start making videos where you guys will be following my journey as I do my physician associate course for the next 2 years. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If I haven't covered anything, and if you would like to know anything about my biomedical science degree or my experience, just leave a question in the comments down below. I'd like to hear from you guys, and I will be very, very happy to answer you. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day, and God bless.